Welcome back. It's Kovacs Report, as usual. My good buddy Jimmy X. It's Friday, Jim. It's comic book review day.
Friday.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Are you ready? Well, so I'm gonna before I start. You know, last week I did that Ultimates 10 thing, right? So I put that video out, and I was following what was happening to other people that were saying the same kind of things as me, and they were getting absolutely rinsed on the internet, being called Nazi sympathizers, all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, I watched those videos, and the whole way through, they were talking about how the heroes reacted, right? And I thought, oh God, I'm going to get the same. Sure enough, I got a comment or two. Cool, you know, it's implying that I was a sympathizer. So I went back I watched the video of me doing my Ultimates review, and I counted how many times I said that Nazis were bad, and it was 15 times. So it just goes to show that you can tell someone.
Because they are. So
yes,
yeah.
they are. I say it's 16th time Nazis are bad, but you can say something 15 times, and someone will still go, "Oh yeah, you're a bad guy." It's like at the end of the day, I don't need you.
Get stuck.
Yeah, I don't need you watching the videos. If I can tell you something 15 times and you can ignore it, it's bizarre. These guys are getting raked over the coals. I went gentle, but they really went heavy in. But it's funny. It's funny. It's the same thing with anything, with films, with politics. People just like to select certain parts that suit their narratives, and I think that's why we're in a bit of a mess. Now, that was my segue, because Ultimates 10 was written by Deniz Camp. And there's a new book out by Deniz Camp this week, as you know, called Assorted Crisis Events. And I said, listen, he may be bad, in my opinion, with Ultimates, but he may be good telling other stories, right? So I thought, let's give it a go. So this is a new number 1 from Image, brand new from Image. Eric Zawadzki is the artist, who does a very good job. The art's really nice, actually. I've got to admit, the art is really, really, really nice. But let's get into the story. So how do I start this? So it's set in a world where time isn't sort of linear anymore. Well, it's linear, except it overlaps. So at any point in time, something from the past, the future could be happening, right? And that's not just in our reality, on infinite Earths as well. Have you heard this story before? You have. So basically, this is the world that Assorted Crisis Events is set in. So every time you walk out your door, you know, you could turn up to work and the building's been replaced with a fire station, because there's another reality, there's a fire station there, right? You could walk outside and there could be an alien invasion. You could walk out, whatever, right? You get the gist. I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. I'll see where it goes with this, right? So it starts off following this girl, and there's a big boom. Her clock is the only thing that remains of her mother and father, who vanished, who are dead. We don't know, because we're in this weird sort of questioning anything that happens and everything that happens. Is it real? Is it not real? And it falls on the floor and it breaks, right? So this is a thing that recurs throughout the story. So she goes outside and there's explosions, there's people getting killed, there's guns, and it's revealed that actually it's a movie set outside, right? They've hired the street to shoot a movie because it's cheaper, because she lives in sort of like the cheaper part of town, let's just say, and it's a bit derelict. So it suits all these post-apocalyptic movies that are being made, which is ironic considering that the world is kind of in a constant state of post-apocalypticness. Anyway, the whole book is basically repeating itself. The way every time she leaves in the morning, there's a different thing going on outside. Like one day it's space age, one day it's like the World War II, one day it's science fiction and everything else. Anyway, she meets her neighbor, who's obviously a refugee from another country. He's come to this country and you know, he's made a good life for himself, works hard. And all the way through the book, there's this phone alert saying these temporal phenomena may be happening in your area. It gives you the threat level. And we see all the weird shit that happens in a world where this could possibly happen. So you've got like people who sort of like are there, but they're sort of like ghosts of themselves, but they're not. They're sort of stuck in sort of a temporal time shift. and you see a prehistoric man walk down the street, or knights from from medieval times, or astronauts, or all this. And this goes all the way through. It's her walking to work, and to find out that she doesn't exist that day at her work, so she gets the day off. Right? She goes to this clockmaker to repair this clock, and they only repair clocks if they like the story you have behind the clock, And every time she goes in, it's like, this is boring. Get out! You're wasting my time. And that's what the whole thing is her walking to town, walking to work, getting upset with the world, questioning reality. It's boring. It waffles on for page after page after page. It is boring beyond any measure of boring. Anyway, she gets mugged. No, she doesn't get mugged. There's this old weirdo from the future who's like preaching about the world's going to end. You got to watch out. Destruction, destruction. She sees a murder in the day. Then later on, the police are taking him in, and they have to take him in because technically he doesn't exist because he hasn't been born yet. Therefore, he doesn't have any rights. And then the policeman out of nowhere truncheons her in the face, and he goes, "Oh, I should go see a doctor about my temper." There's lots of, again, real subtle political bullshit like Deniz Camp likes to inject in every single book. I'm not going to go through them now, but it is just very subtle. Anyway, near the end of the book, she hears the big booms from outside again. She's woken up. It's those damn movie guys. She goes outside, and like there's this prehistoric space age alien monsters. There's everything you can imagine all mashed into one. And she's like, "Oh guys, where's the director? Where's the director?" And then a neighbor comes running across the road and go, "No, run, this is actually real." And he gets killed. And then there's a big explosion. She looks up at the sky, and we pan out, and it says cut. And I was like, all right. It's boring, mate. The art's really nice. I'll give the guy the due, the artist. It's really nice. But honestly, mate, I don't need to bother why they publish this. And again, I don't care if I get roasted. It is just boring. It's an interesting idea, badly executed. So that will be the last issue that I will read of that. And I tell you what, I think it's a nail in the coffin for Deniz Camp for me. I can't stand his books and his writing. So I'm going to try
review Deniz Camp books anymore, right? Well,
you're going to have to, aren't you? You've already put yourself up for that.
Yeah, I'm going to review Absolute Martian Manhunter.
I know, but you see, this suits
for you, so you don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, but you see, this suits Deniz Camp, Absolute Martian Manhunter, because it's going to be transgender. He's going to have identity crisis, and Deniz Camp does like waving a flag, right? And I'm not saying that the flags he's waving are right or wrong. I'm not saying it's bad to support whatever, but I'm saying every book has to. It's like Doctor Who, right? The recent series of Doctor Who. What's his face? I've blocked the writer's name completely from my mind.
Russell T. Davies.
Russell T. Davies, yeah. He destroyed Doctor Who. Doctor Who is put on ice for 5 to 10 years. Franchise destroyed because he has to make it all about him. Right? He has to wave as many flags as possible, devoid of including a story in it. And look where we are. It's been cancelled. So it's like, this is Deniz Camp. So Absolute Martian Manhunter suits him down to a T. I'm going to read it. I'm not necessarily going to review it.
I look forward to that then.
Yeah, get ready, man, because you've not really read any Deniz Camp, have you?
No.
It's like Erica Schultz on acid, mate. Honestly, it is not fun.
Do not like Erica Schultz.
No. Let's be one of someone that everyone loves, hopefully. Mr. Robert Kirkman.
Yeah. Hasbro's Energon universe, Skybound, the Transformers, the G.I. Joe, they are all part of this, with Void Rivals, an original project from Robert Kirkman. And we're at the 17th issue. So Void Rivals issue 17, published by Image, and Skybound, written by Robert Kirkman, with art and cover art there by Lorenzo De Felici. Now, previously, Solila's pilgrimage into the Sacred Ring has resulted in her finding ancient lost transformer Zerta Trion, who is the basis for the Zetonians' religion. And Darak has been branded a traitor and captured by his own father.
Wow.
Now, this is awesome, Angelo. This is what we've been waiting for. The still functioning Cybertronian wastes no time at all in filling in Solila as we finally learn Zerta Trion's backstory. So she fled the Transformers' home planet of Cybertron eons earlier, escaping the tyrannical rule of the Quintessons, the slave masters, and their greatest creation, which turns out to be the Golion. Now, this is, to put it in comic book terms, Galactus. Ooh. To put it in Transformers terms, it's Unicron. it's similar to that sort of thing. The only difference is when it's drawn, it looks like Batman. It's got like the cowl kind of shape on its head and like glowing green eyes. It looks like Batman. It's very, very cool. So yeah, the Goliath is the Quintesson's ultimate weapon and the Cybertronians' end. So knowing that the Goliath will win the Quintessons the war, Zerta lures him away to a distant star, which he consumes for over a millennia.
Wow.
And while he feasts, she influenced the people who would later on become the Agorians and Detonians to imprison Goliath and inside the dying star, inside the sacred ring. So basically, that is his prison. And
so he's been starving for a long time. I love it. I love it.
That's it. And what is he's feasting. And the ring would generate Energon from the black hole. And she intended to use to save Cybertron, but she was injured. She had her legs blown off pretty much during the conflict, and left her unable to return there. Now the Goliath is drained, but his essence now needs to be unified. This is the unification that everybody is so worried about. Both races must now work together to release him in a weakened state and then immediately destroy him. If he's not destroyed soon, he will regain his strength. It must be now. This is now Selila's new mission. She says she lacks the power to do it. Zerta says, I will give you the power.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic issue. Elsewhere, Derek's father's told him the similar truth. Unification must happen. There's no way against it. Then we get one page of the Autobots, Springer and Hot Rod enjoying some downtime. That's pretty cool. And Bounty Hunter Proximus, he's got a really nice action sequence searching for the Zetonian Prime Minister who's gone missing. And emissary of Cobra La, Pythona, she has tracked down Hot Rod's ship and she is in orbit. So it is all going to kick off next issue. So much stuff going on.
I was about to say, it's a lot in one issue, right?
Yeah, and Kirkman reckons that issues 18 and 19, you ain't seen nothing yet with this book. Yeah, highly recommend it. Fantastic.
I don't think it's ever skipped a beat, has it really?
No, it's been consistently great. I love how they weave the Transformers and the G.I. Joe into this narrative as well. There's actually going to be, I showed you the other day, didn't I? There's actually going to be a toy line where we get to see the Void Rivals stand next to the Transformers. So that will be pretty cool for all you toy collectors out there.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, but this isn't the last time I'll be talking about Energon Universe this week.
No. And for people who bought that huge Kickstarter G.I. Joe box set thing, they're doing one for the Transformers as well. So
I saw it. Yeah, unifying the UK and US Transformer comics.
I'm tempted.
I was a little boy.
I'm tempted. Yeah, that was. I remember those days getting the, because we had it in the British weeklies. If me and you, obviously,
30p a week. Yeah, them were the days.
Yeah, larger format. Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, let's move on to Image books. Another Image book. Rick Remender, Paul Azaceta, The Seasons 2. Now, this did come out last week, and I didn't get a chance to review it. So, because some of the other books that I was looking to review from this week didn't materialize, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna give you a spoiler alert. It was too good not to review. So, The Seasons are a bunch of sisters, right? You got winter, summer, autumn. You get the picture, right? And in the first issue, her sister who's gone missing sent her a letter to say that there's this crazy like circus coming to town. You got to get the other sisters out of town, run away. It's danger. And that's where we were. And sure enough, this mad circus turned up. Now, we saw the aftermath of this circus at the beginning of the first issue, where there's all these people staring in mirrors, like laughing maniacally, right? So we know they're messed up. Now, we follow one of the sisters, right? Now, all the other sisters are like super famous, either famous painter, famous model, a movie star. And our little sister that we follow, and I've just forgotten her name. Is it Autumn?
Spring, is it?
Spring. Let's say Spring. She's just like the village sort of postie. You know, she never became this big superstar in the world. She's just a normal person like us, I guess, right? Like, we're just normal. So anyway, what we do is we start this issue with her sister that's gone missing, who sent the warning. Now, she's on this mission to find her parents, right? Because she believes she knows where they are. Oh, I know. It gets interesting, right? So she goes to this castle where she has to get past this ape, and she's following the notes left in her father's journal, and she has to. It's really clever to get into this building, this sort of like weird monastery where there's a tomb there that she needs to visit. Right, she has to accept and decline his offer at the same time, and she does all that, and then she gets given a mirror, and she looks into the mirror. Right, and these mirrors play an important role. Remember from issue 1, where people were just laughing at him. She gets to this sarcophagus, and she opens up this sarcophagus, and inside the sarcophagus, guess what she sees? She sees herself, right? And then the mirror talks to her and says, "You fool, it was a trick. Dear God, what have you?" And then she vanishes. And I thought, oh. Anyway, we jump back to today, to our other the sister that we're following, right? You know, like she's a little postie. And I love this character, right? So there's this, the opening panel is like, it's like the seaside town as such, right? And you're looking down on all the houses around the mountain. All right, and it's all that sort of rustic colours, and then you see these three little multicoloured tents of the circus. So it just says they're here. It was really, really clever panel, right? Anyway, she's got this goldfish. I guess it's her new pet, and she's talking to this pet all the way through, and it's this really cool dialogue of this bounce back, and you get a real good feel for this character. I love this character already, right? We're not like one of the bit issues in. So she's at home. She lives with her older sister Winter, who is the painter of the family, right? So Summer is like I think she's a big actress. Autumn is like an archaeologist and an explorer and everything else. Winter. So yes, it is spring. I remember it now.
Yeah,
so she calls up for Winter, and Winter is one of those real serious painters. You know, they're all about the art. And she's doing this painting. She hates it. She smashes it up. And Spring tries to tell her, "Look, we've got to get out. We've got to get out. We've got to get out." And she's like, "Whatever. You've bothered me with this." And she sort of dismisses her and sends her off. Right. So she's not listening. She is not listening at all. Anyway, then we jump to her other sister, the movie star, and she's this arrogant, self-obsessed narcissist, basically, on this beach. She's complaining to the lighting person that there isn't enough light in it. It's like this beautiful island, right? You know, the sun is shining on a beach, and this mysterious guy masquerading as a reporter says, "Oh, are you going back home for the big show?" And she's like, "Of course I am." Obviously, she hasn't been invited. She says, "Of course I am. They wouldn't have it without me. I'm so famous and brilliant." So he runs off smiling to himself, and as he gets around the corner, this sort of reporter sort of morphs into this weird carnival clown creature. So he's basically setting her up to get her back to the town, because I think they're obviously there for these sisters, right? We don't know why, but there's magic afoot. Anyway, we get sort of a day in the life of Spring. She has her breakfast. She talks about her parents. You know, we know she misses her. And then she hears someone breaking into the house, and she runs to the door. The window's been smashed and everything's all over the floor, but nothing's been stolen. But an invitation has been left from the Magic Carnival, inviting her to the carnival. So it's brilliant. Again, fantastic art all the way through by Paul Azaceta. Rick Remender's dialogue is amazing. The colours are beautiful. The lettering is great. It's an interesting story. It's like nothing happened in it again, but a lot happened. It's just like the first issue. So we've learned about the sort of the characters within these sisters now. We kind of got a bit of character building them, right? She's obviously the glue that holds us all together. There's this weird, dangerous carnival. There's a magic afoot. It's brilliant. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's nothing bad about this book. Absolutely zero. Have you been reading it, Jim?
Yeah. I thought it was really, really strong. It's like nothing else on the stands being published at the moment. Just a really beautiful book to look at as well. Love it.
So we're agreed. It's great. I'm glad. Yeah, Remender's really smash it out of the park here. I love this book. I hope it goes on for a while. I hope it's not a mini. I don't think it is. But yeah, like I say, it's one of those weird books that not a lot happens, but a lot happens.
Everything
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a slow, fast burn all at once. I love it. Anyway, I could talk about this book for a lot longer. I wish I could. What's this? Transformers, eh? So Void Rivals and Transformers in 1 week, Jim. You must have been beside yourself.
It's the same week. Yeah, this never happens. It's like Astral Convergence or something. Transformers issue 18, published by Image and Skybound, written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by Jorge Corona, the cover art there by Daniel Warren Johnson as well. So there's basically a power vacuum with the Decepticons. Megatron is missing, and Soundwave and Starscream, they've both got their factions. They've both got a combiner each. Bruticus for Soundwave, Bruticus for Starscream, you can see on the cover, and Soundwave's got Devastator, the Constructicons, and they are battling in Seattle and laying waste to it. Optimus Prime's Autobots are trying to minimize their civilian casualties. But meanwhile, in Cybertron, amidst a still raging civil war, Cliffjumper and Alita 1, they're bringing a new Autobot to life. We saw last issue, recycled from the bodies of the fallen Shredhead. And Shredhead immediately proves his worth on the battlefield, cutting a swath of destruction straight through the Decepticons, possibly turning the tide of the battle as Alita 1 looks on approvingly. And back on Earth, RC and Beachcomber, along with their human ally Carly, they are attempting to bring shell-shocked Autobot Ultra Magnus back to the fold. Unfortunately, while this is happening, they're all attacked by some mysterious human paramilitary force. In the chaos that follows, the fleeing Autobots accidentally leave Carly behind, and she's captured by G.I. Joe? Could it be? Certainly seems that way. Cutting back to Seattle, there's a kaiju-sized battle happening, and urged on by their respective leaders, Starscream and Soundwave, the Autobots, who are Optimus Prime, Jazz, Wheeljack, and Trailbreaker, are caught in the middle of this devastation. Devastator in Daniel Warren Johnson loves putting wrestling moves in. He suplexes Bruticus from a high height, basically devastating him. Devastating Bruticus, causing untold damage to Starscream's champion. Starscream and Soundwave then throw down in a brutal, visceral fight before interrupted by the imposing form of Megatron. And he wastes no time reviving Ravage with his own Energon. And you know, Ravage is one of your favorites, so you've got to be happy about that. Soundwave bends the knee, overjoyed to see his master, and Starscream flees in terror. Optimus Prime, staring up at them, shocked beyond belief, gives the order, Autobots retreat. This is the end of the third story arc. We got one more from DWJ before he's gone, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. Hell yes, recommended. Absolutely fantastic issue of Transformers.
Transformers done right?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolute Superman. So, I have not been the biggest fan of Absolute Superman, have I? In the past. True. No. I think Jason Aaron, I don't know if this is his character. So, I said to myself, this was going to be the last issue I read. I'm going to surprise you. So, I am going to surprise you, right? Jason Aaron's written it. Rafa Sandoval's art is beautiful as ever. I mean, look at that cover. Absolute beauty.
Jason Aaron is firing on all cylinders right now.
He is. I just look again, when I say something about a creator, it's about the specific work, not the person or other work they've done.
Yeah,
all their work shit, and I talk about it. But like I say it every time, his Punisher run was like exceptional. One of the best Punisher runs of ever.
Yeah.
You know, and some of his other stuff that I've read is fantastic. I just think that with Absolute Superman, there was something missing. I mean, all these Absolute books are shockingly bad. I don't care what anyone says. They are shockingly bad. They're a waste of time. They remind me, not as bad, they remind me of the Heroes Return Marvel 12, 13 month thing where they try to reboot it. You know what I'm on about, right?
That's cold, man.
And then, yes, that's what it feels like. It's just serving a purpose to facilitate a brand new relaunch of DC, you know, like you've never seen before. This changes everything. Absolute shite. I've not enjoyed it.
I'm enjoying the Absolute books.
Yeah, well, you know, someone has to, right? But listen, let's talk about issue 5. Issue 5. Yes. Now, I actually enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
And I'll tell you why. Because I think he's telling the wrong story. I think the more interesting story is the Krypton story in the past. You know, how they got to where the
Krypton stuff is the meat of the story.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so much more interesting, right?
And
all
bleak.
The characters, eh? Say again.
bleak. It's got that Aaron bleakness to it.
Yeah, but it's interesting, Jim. I genuinely concerned about the character. Like young, Kal-El is interesting. He's not this brooding dickhead that's just floating around Earth trying to do good, never smiling, right? But the backstory is so compelling. It's so. Oh, I wish they just told that story. I wish the lead up to Our Absolute Superman was 6 issues of how he got to Earth, what happened, the breakdown of Kryptonian society and the planet and everything else. It's really, really interesting. I enjoy that more than the present day stuff. However, we'll get to that anyway. So, we're told it's 6 years ago on Krypton, and it's basically like the last stand on Krypton, right? The science organization guild, whatever they're called, they're basically going around. They're subduing the people. Krypton is erupting everywhere. It's falling apart. And as revealed, I think in the previous issue, the elite already knew that this was coming, and they've been secretly building ships so that they can all get on these ships when the time comes and just go off and leave all the the oi polloi, the average Joe, the commoners to die on the planet. Now I think young Kal-El exposed this, so it's caused planet-wide panic. So you can imagine you've got the government fighting the public, you've got the planet exploding, you've got absolute chaos. Excuse me. And you've got Kal and his family trying to escape it all because they've got a little spaceship. They're going to save as many people as they possibly can, and they're going to get off the planet before it's too late. And this whole book is basically that story with a bit of what's going on from the back of last issue, which we'll get to. And it's really, really, really interesting. You can feel the peril, you can feel the worry, you can feel what every single heartbeat in this book. So, Superman, Kal-El's parents, they get to the ship and they've amassed as many people that will fit on the ship, and they're upset that they can't bring more. And before it's too late, they launch, right? They launch off to hopefully safety and a life on a different planet. However, while that's happening, an interesting thing is that this ship actually bonds with you. It's like like a symbiotic nanite sort of whatever is made of Superman's suit. That's what it is. It actually sort of
very cool.
Yeah, I found that really, really, really interesting. It sort of bonds with it, and it becomes your spacesuit, and it can do all the wonderful things like you'd expect it to do. Anyway, one interesting thing is that the elite, they are trying to escape now as well, and those ships are taking off, but none of them make it. So the irony is, from all their subterfuge and dishonesty and everything else, they never got to get off the planet. A fitting end, to be honest, right? But Superman and his family and the refugees, they do at least get to lift off. But as the planet explodes, the debris hits the ship, and lots of people start falling out of the ship, and the suits sort of little morphs into a sort of one person escape little plane, right? So you're watching these planes try and escape as this green poison clouds and debris are flying up from there, and everything's
it's harrowing, though.
It is harrowing. It's really, really good. What I do love is his dog's in one of the ships as well. So I'm glad old Crypto survives. Anyway, so he's in one of these little spacesuit ships, and his parents are in another, and they're flying through, exploding one by one. They're exploding until it's just him, and he screams out, "Mum, Dad, anyone!" And I really felt for him. I was like, "Oh my God, this was so good. Why not start with this issue 1, right? That would have blown everyone's mind off." And that's where the issue jumps back to now, right? So the last issue, the Peacemakers, one in specific, one of these Peacemakers lost it a bit, and he murdered 23 civilians for no apparent reason, right? He just lost it and decided just to gun them all down, and Superman is pissed. Like, he's real pissed. He's trying to find this Agent Smith, and he's going to give him an absolute kicking, right? So he's sort of he's trying to track this guy down, and he beats the shit out of loads of Peacemakers to the point where it's like he's going to become one of them because his rage take over, and he's pummeling one to the point where his suit's sort of saying, "Look, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And at the last minute, he sort of realizes that his rage has completely overcome him, and he could have killed someone. So he stops and goes, "Right, that's bad. That is bad. I've got to get myself into gear. Anyway, his suit also says he's tracked down Brainiac and that there's lots of small cities with little people living in it, and they're all screaming, they're all terrified. So they're saying, right, you've got to go and see the Brainiac guy. But he says, you know what? No, I'm going to wait, because if I turn up there, I'm scared. And the suit says, he said, well, you're right to fear him. He's dangerous. He goes, no, I'm not scared of Brainiac. I'm scared of what I'll do if I find these people. So he decides to take a little detour. And you see him walking down the road with a big sign saying Smallville Canvas. Brilliant issue. It's in my opinion, first good issue of the whole run so far. Had everything. Even though Superman's still a bit of a broody little brat, right? You know, he has. It was okay. It fit the whole issue. But this pre-story of what happened on Krypton was just, like you say, harrowing and heart-wrenching, and I loved it. And I felt like I connected with him. You know, I felt that gave more of an explanation of why he's this moody brat, right? I mean, we knew it anyway, right? But you start on this story, you need to see that happen, right? To justify it. It was just moody brat. And like 4 issues in, we're thinking, come on, give us something a bit more. And this did it. It was brilliant. So I gotta say, I loved it. I loved every page of it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. So I think it's taken him 4 issues to warm up. He's got it right with issue 5, and I'm praying.
Issue 3 was really strong as well. The other Krypton issue.
Yes, but I mentioned that in my review. The Krypton parts are the best parts, but as a whole, that issue failed because it was half the book was good and half the book was brilliant. You know, every page was brilliant. So I really enjoyed it. It was almost the contender for Book of the Week for me. Yeah, I know. Okay, double X World X Manhunt for you this week, right?
Yeah. Marvel's crossover event X-Man Hunt rumbles on. X-Men issue 13, published by Marvel, written by Jed MacKay with art by Netho Diaz and cover art by Ryan Stegman. So previously in Manhunt, while suffering a mutant tumor, sending his powers haywire, Xavier received a psychic distress signal from his alien teenage daughter and broke out of Grey Malkin prison to help her, taking down the uncanny X-Men pretty easily and seeking sanctuary with Storm, until Cyclops' team of X-Men arrive, demanding Xavier be turned over to them. Xavier's mutant tumor is influencing all the non-protected brains around him, and as a Cerebro-wearing Xavier tries to telepathically subdue Beast, Kid Omega, Quentin Quire, tells him that he's installed Psychoms in everyone on the X-Men's brains to stop telepathic tampering. Storm easily schools Cyclops. She takes him down pathetically easily, and then turns her attention to Juggernaut. Magic portals back to Alaska, and literally, she says yoink, takes Magneto's helmet and slams it onto Beast's head after she portals back to Storm's ship. Xavier and Quire, then they have this psychic battle where Storm holds her own against the remaining X-Men, and a huge fight ensues. The stalemate is broken when Beast takes off Cerebro of Xavier's head and then puts Magneto's helmet and sedates him with an injection, breaking his control over Storm, because to gain sanctuary, he's influenced Storm's mind. He's possessed her pretty much. As the X-Men try to leave with Professor X in tow, he uses his powers to crash the Marauder on the desolate Utopia Island, where they're confronted by Angel, Warren Worthington III, and the new X Factor. Gale set it up, and Storm, the issue 6 of Storm was pretty good, and I'm sorry, Jed, you fumbled this one. This was not great. Is it really just going to be pass the baton? Is that what this story arc's going to be? I wanted more from this. Can't recommend it. That's
a shame, but I'm going to say expected. Marvel have lost the ability to do good events, you know, and it's shown for a long time. Sad to hear, Jim, but like I say, I'm not surprised. Right. So I know Declan Shavy cover actually. Hellhunters by Phillip Kennedy Johnson, artist is Adam Gorham. The colours are really nice as well. They're by Frank Martin. So listen, last week I was talking about killing Nazis, right? And I was saying there's a way you do that in comics. This is how you kill Nazis. Indiana Jones way. This is how you kill Nazis. who are terrible and bad. Hellhunters has been such a fun book, right? I love dark and gritty stuff, but sometimes it's nice to get just a good old bit of superheroing fun, right? And Hellhunters has been that little ray of sunshine every single issue, and we're up to issue 4 here. So set in 1944, Nazi occupied France. Long story short, there's a ruthless Hauptmann Bruckner, Nazi piece of shit. He's been possessed by this demon Zarathos, given amazing powers. And him and his little sort of demon Nazi squad of soldiers, they've gone out and they've been recruiting legions of baddies and converting them into sort of demon soldiers, right? And they're sort of at the precipice of turning World War II the other way, right? So they've frozen the channel. So the Battle of Normandy didn't really happen because they froze the channel. Everyone's dying. Everything's going. And who's going to save us? I'll tell you who's going to save us. That's right, Nick Fury, Ghost Rider 44, Peggy Carter, Sebastian Zardos, who is the Soldier Supreme, who's brilliant character. I really enjoy him. Logan, of course, and a young Bucky Barnes. So we learnt that these
stand out in this book.
Yeah, we learnt that there's these creatures underground called the Unhallowed, and they were all formed by these ritualistic killings and things, and the burning of a witch in the past. There's less backstory, but you don't need it for this issue. So this issue is basically Bucky Barnes on the back of Ghost Rider 44's motorcycle. They're mid-air at the end of last issue, and we catch them mid-air beginning of this issue, right? And there's this giant sort of amalgamation of all these bodies and souls that were underground. This witch had killed all these people and as a tribute, and it's formed into this giant, weird, massive flesh and monster, right? And I think it swallowed Logan last issue, if I remember rightly. So they've got to take it down, and they do it really spectacularly, right? So our Soldier Supreme here, he gives them all magic weapons based on on their knowledge of things. Amazing. There's these magic weapons. They're really, really cool. Like Bucky Barnes gets this sort of like magic bazooka. He gets a gun. It's really fun, right? So they go hell for leather.
So over the top.
But doesn't it suit the book? Yeah. So they essentially there's this massive shootout. They blow it all up. There's all sorts of stuff. Everything starts burning. They turn up with a tank. It's brilliant. And the monster falls. And then they walk up to this carcass and they hear a weird sound. And Logan like tears himself out of the belly of the beast, vomits everywhere. And I thought, yeah, this is really good fun. There's other little funny thing I like in it is
because he's got magic claws now.
Not yet. I haven't got to that part.
Oh, okay.
God damn it! Spoiler alert, Jim. Anyway, we'll get to that part. So, look, young Bucky Barnes, very young Bucky Barnes, he got told off in a previous issue because he was collecting the ears of the Nazis, right? And he's there singing, singing away with his knife, trying to cut off the head, one of the weird Nazi heads from this monster, and he gets told off and he's not allowed to do it. Anyway, it's brilliant. But they have the last word, these creatures, as they die. They're basically saying, you know, you're fucked, right? The demon is going to take over your world and make it a paradise for us. There's nothing you can do. You know, Earth as you know it is over. Anyway, sure enough, that's what's happening. And they say, right, you know, we got to get out of France. What's going on? And the Sorcerer Supreme with his magic eye of, I'm not sure if it's the Eye of Agamotto. It is the Eye of Agamotto. It sort of gives him a vision of what's happening. And the demon Nazi forces have, like I say, frozen the entire channel. And they're now on their way, or in England, good old Blighty, where we come from. And they are causing havoc. So they're like, you know what? France is lost. Let's get to Britain. That's, you know, we've got to do something about it. Let's forget about the leader of this god absent, unholy Bruckner Nazi dude. Let's forget about him. There's nothing we can do here. But then the demon that's given Ghost Rider his powers sort of appears and says, no, I am Zarathos, right? You need to kill him. I've given this dude powers. I've saved him, right? I've saved him. Now you need my help to kill these guys. So I'm going to supercharge you. And that's exactly what he does. You know, like you said, He's got these fiery Ghost
so
Rider
cool.
claws.
Sorry,
Bing!
it was just so cool.
That's right. And then we go to the Dover Army Air Force, and we see that the invading demon Nazis all there, and it looks like all hell's going to break loose, which it is. But suddenly,
Literally.
a Ghost Ridered to the Wazoo team turn up, and they're all Ghost Ridered out. There's flames everywhere, and they've turned up to save the day, and they're shooting the shit at everything. But don't end it there. Don't end it there. There's fire from the air. And on the last page, we see Ghost Rider in a giant fucking Ghost Rider-esque American fighter plane flying down to cause hell and destruction. It's over the top in the best possible way. It's fun. It's the right way of depicting killing Nazis in a book. I love it. It's just so much fun. And it's going to end soon because it's a mini, right? It is a mini. But I love it. I love it. Hats off, Mr. Phillip, Kenny Johnson, Adam Gorham, everyone that's worked on this book. It's such a bundle of fun. I take it you've read it, obviously, because you spoiled my spoilers.
I mean, we're a spoiler show. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Right.
I apologize for nothing.
No, mate, it's good, right? Yeah, again, you get a Declan Shavy cover thrown in for good measure.
Yeah,
everything right
awesome.
about this book.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
love Phillip Kenny Johnson. His run on Hulk is amazing. Ghost Rider 44 is in that as well.
Well, do you know what? You mentioned it, and I now have access to it, and I'm gonna try and binge it on the weekend. I was going to do this weekend, but
it's so
I binged Manhattan Projects because I hadn't read it for so long, so I wanted to read it again. All right, X-Man Hunt continues.
Continuing with X-Man Hunt, yeah. So this is the first issue of this run of X-Factor I've ever read. I just want to make that known. I haven't read any of the previous issues, so I think you did though, didn't you? You reviewed the first issue way back last year. Anyway, X-Factor issue 8, published by Marvel, written by Mark Russell, art by Bob Quinn. I'm not familiar with either of those gentlemen, unfortunately, with cover art there by Greg Land. So legacy numbering throughout previous volumes of X Factor makes this the 300th issue. So that's something. So they're bringing back Havoc and Cyclops, as you can see on the cover. And
you clearly can, by a beautiful.
I want it known that I love X Factor. I've always loved X Factor. Back in the 1986 when it first. The first run, the original 5 X-Men became government agents, and like a rip-off of Ghostbusters. They turn up at the location. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to capture this mutant," and then the people are like, "Oh no, we're not going to pay this money," and they're like, "Well, we'll just put it back then." It's totally Ghostbusters rip-off. I love the most recent run on X Factor with Krakoa, where they were basically mutant CSI involving mutant crimes. That was awesome. But yeah, so anyway, a flashback. Shows Alex
Wait a
Summers
second. Shall I say it for you, Jim? This new run's been dog shit. There we go. I said it for you, so you don't have to. I'll take the hate. It's okay.
Peter David wrote the best X Factor stuff. He did 2 runs on it. Check it out. It's amazing. If you haven't already,
I have.
Peter David's X Factor. Anyway, a flashback shows Alex Summers, aka Havoc, tearfully saying goodbye to his ex-wife Polaris, who are mainstays, and neither of them are really featured as the X Factor in this book, which upset me. Also, where was Multiple Man? Where's Multiple Man? He's not there. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, I love X Factor, so this hurts me. Before Havoc's recruited by his friend Frenzy of the mysterious mutant underground for a mission. So this picks up next where X-Men 13 left off. The baton, aka Xavier, is passed. Angel tells the X-Men team the government-sponsored X Factor have been sent to return Xavier to Grey Malkin. I guess that tracks because they've always been a government-sponsored team. The X-Men refuse, with Beast visibly shaken by the appearance of Angel, who he thought was dead. He was dead? I don't know. But he reveals, no, he's just had a few elective procedures done, and for some reason now he's Archangel again. Because, Warren Worthington always wanted to be Archangel. It wasn't something that he hated, that he wanted to be rid of. It didn't just make him Archangel again. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
X Factor and X-Men then predictably battle to a standstill, and I'll give credit where it's due. It actually did make me laugh because Beast is basically calling out the members of X Factor and highlighting how terrible they are. He's like, "Who are you, Granny Smite? What's your power?" She's like, "I can't be killed." He's like, "Right, I'm just going to ignore you then." And it's just like, and another one's like, "Oh, what's your power?" "Oh, I can let out EMPs." I was like, "Oh, it's a good thing I haven't got my phone on me. Then I would hate to lose my photos." It's like, I'll give him credit for you. That was pretty funny. But But anyway, the battle to a standstill before eventually realizing Xavier has disappeared during the melee.
Oh.
Turns out he's been nabbed by Havoc and Frenzy, and she confesses she doesn't actually work for the Mutant Underground at all. Xavier psychically contacted her, telling her where to find him. How when he had Cerebro on his how when he had Magneto's helmet on his head, and how when he was sedated, and how did he crash the plane? But anyway, too much how. So this is then interrupted. Another interruption, if you're keeping track, by the arrival of Scott Summers, who nails Frenzy easily with an optic blast before confronting his brother over Xavier. The two decide to scrap hand to hand because famously the bros' mutant powers don't work on each other. Xavier reveals to the Summers brothers that he brought them to Utopia Island to show them the final Krakoa resurrection egg, because there's a last one. We don't know who's in it, but he does use the word "hope is not lost." So maybe it's maybe it's Summers' daughter Hope. Maybe it's the final resurrection egg. Before they can process this, the final interruption in a book chock full of interruptions. Phantom X of X-Force steals Xavier away from them both, setting up next week's X-Force 9, and I am so tired, Angela. There are still 3 issues of this to go.
I warned you. You didn't listen,
Jim. I don't know if I can do it.
Did I warn you, or did I not warn you?
Won't be reading X Factor again. I guess I'll look at X Factor. X-Force 9 next week. Can't recommend this book, sorry.
Oh boy. Well, we're at that time of the show, my friend, where we have to make a choice. And that is Book of the Week.
Yes, well, Book of the Week for me was Transformers issue 18. Okay. The end of the 3rd story arc. Daniel Warren Johnson he stuck the landing completely. There was a suplex from 2 giant robots from a high height that you have to see the panel to believe. It's just incredible. Even with Void Rivals being so strong this week, Transformers takes it.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought you were going to say Void Rivals. Yeah. Well, for me, it has to be the seasons. It's just like you say. There's nothing quite like it out there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, I hope there's a beautiful, lovely hardcover that collects it, because I will buy that in a heartbeat. So that's this week's books. Now, next week, Jim, actually, a little caveat here. Every week I go, oh, I'm looking forward to this next week, and half of it gets cancelled, is delayed, right? So,
delayed, yeah.
Assuming all this lands next week looks like quite a good week. There's a load of new number ones. Out of Alcatraz, LA Strong, Endeavour, Crush Depth. On top of that is Absolute Batman, which I think was my punishment book, which I'm reading. There's Cable, Love and Chrome, consistently great, right? There's Detective Comics is out. Zatan is out.
Detective.
There's loads of stuff.
Kind of nice. Okay, I'm looking forward to Thundercats Lost issue 1. It's a spin-off of Thundercats.
Okay.
This concerns the 3 other Thundercats from Thundercats the movie, Bengali, Pumara, and Linkso. And they are going to find their way into the narrative now. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Excellent.
Also, G.I. Joe, the 3rd pillar of the Energon universe, issue 5, finishing the first story arc of G.I. Joe. And Jason Aaron's Bug Wars returns for its 2nd issue. Sign me up for that.
Are you sure?
Has it been delayed?
Let's have a little looky, shall we, Jimbo? Because I don't know how I would have missed that one. I think you're. I don't know. No, it is out. Yeah, I gave you a little heartbeat, a little stoppy there. But no, it is. Yeah. Again, Jason Aaron, right? He, like I say, he gets it. That I like that book, so I'm going to read it too. You're going to do the review, but I'm definitely going to read that too. Cool. That's it for this week. Those are our thoughts. Let us know yours. Until next time, Jim. Say goodbye.
Bye.